I had to wait until Dolly Parton died to make this video. And I've been waiting a while, but today's the day. Hugh Squier told me I couldn't make this video, and he's already passed, but he told me not to make this video until she died. So, if you remember from our videos, if you ever watched any of our videos, because hardly anyone did, but Hugh Squier, who had a band, had become a music publisher, was in the Musicians Union, knew many, many musicians. He was also a composer of thousands of songs. He wrote Pink Floyd's music. So he got to know a lot of these people, and in ASCAP and so forth. And at ASCAP, he was told, Hugh Squier was told that he was not allowed to become a publisher, if you remember the story. Again, not to renew his license. And right after that, they staged the Foley beheading as a warning to him not to renew his publishing license, because his trademark, Bottom Line, had already been stolen and had already been used around the world. And they already knew that that theft was about to be covered up by 9/11. So many musicians and actors and WWE superstars know what I just said. Just because you don't know what I just said, they do. One of those people who understood this very clearly was Dolly Parton. Now, Dolly Parton, less than a year ago, had been talking with Hugh Squier, and online and on the phone, and had been asking about if she could help expose his story. Now, when Hugh asked, "Are you serious? Are you going to help?" she says, "I need to go check with my producers and agents and people like that, her handlers, basically." They might as well be her actual handlers at this point, the way the world works, to see if they would give her permission to help Hugh Squier out. I mean, think about what kind of a person does this. I mean, to not have the courage of your convictions, to see how important 9/11 is to our country, to see what really happened to our country, and to know that it was a cover-up of a theft of somebody you know, and to know the story, and to know that America's never heard the truth of this story, and yet you're going to hold it in if maybe your handlers don't like it, and maybe you won't make the money. And to be honest, I think it's more than that. I think she was probably scared of what people like that would do to her. So in essence, she may have been a little bit of a coward, probably justly fearful, though, of what could have happened to her, because these people are killers. I mean, the people who hid Hugh's Bottom Line trademark on 9/11 killed 3,000 Americans. And it wasn't Muslims. This was a theft being covered up that was worth trillions of dollars, because Bottom Line had been sold and was being used around the world. You hear it all the time. You hear every news station out there give you a Bottom Line segment of the news. You hear Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. You've heard bars named Bottom Line. There was the Bottom Line Bar by Snedowski in New York that helped musicians get their start in the industry. All of this was stolen from Hugh Squier. You've seen from our videos and posts about how his trademark had been used as the name of the bar exam for lawyers in California, and how we have that clip. and we've posted it many, many times. Unfortunately, Hugh died in April, and maybe he would be on here saying it, but he didn't want. He still considered Dolly Parton a friendly person to him, and he didn't want her to get killed or ruined from this information. And so he said, we cannot talk about it until after she passes. But Hugh passed before she did, but I still waited to say it. So that's the truth. That's who Dolly Parton really is. She knew the story of 9/11 and refused to tell it. There's a whole lot of other people that Hugh didn't tell me I can't say, like The Rock, Johnson. Oh, he was offering Hugh $70 million to just shut up. And Hugh said, no, I'm never going to stop telling my story. There were other actresses and actors that would sympathize with the story but never offer to help. There was even a prince in one Middle Eastern country who offered to help. Another one offered to give him a radio station and a TV station in Kuwait, straight from the royalty. He would have been protected to some extent, but he still believed that the American government could still kill him there if he had gone and started exposing it at that level. So people around the world know this story. Hugh never got justice. His wives were murdered. I wrote the book about it. Hugh Squier, the original Bottom Line. You should, not to make me money, I mean, it'll soon be out on paperback as soon as my current publishers put it up on Amazon, but you can still see it on Kindle if you want and read it. Hundreds of pages that trace the true history of this country and connect 9/11 and other events like the Oklahoma City bombing, which all have some role in Hugh Squier's life. I'm not saying this to promote my book because I don't need the money. I'm living just fine. America deserves to know the truth. You need to know what really happened. And if you've seen my posts, you know very well that I have plenty of blame for Muslims for Muslims about many, many things. I don't think Muslims are these innocent, sweet people. I think Islam is atrocious and a horrible thing. However, it had nothing to do whatsoever with 9/11. Nothing. All of that was a psyop. And all of it was done to cover up the theft of Hugh Squier's Bottom Line trademark that was sold around the world. That's the $2 trillion that was missing at the Pentagon. The Pentagon had to be hit because Hugh Squier had a lawsuit at the Pentagon against the Groves family. Now go look up and see who Leslie Groves was. He had cases that would have cost the government trillions of dollars. And that's why they did to him what they did. I understand that people look at me and they say, well, why in the world would this guy from Ohio that doesn't has no fame, no success story to speak of, why does he know all this information or to think he's so high and mighty? Well, I don't. I listened to Hugh Squier. And I said, somebody's got to tell this story because nobody else will. Now, Hugh was a verifiable genius. He could do things that just boggles the mind. We could sit here for hours while Hugh Squier would give me an entire sentence. I would go on a gematria calculator, find the value of that big, long sentence. And while I could make up the sentence, it didn't matter. And for an hour straight, he could come up with more sentences that equaled that value in his head instantly. I mean, he had a superhuman ability about him. You couldn't. He said he never played cards because he always won. You know, he didn't gamble in Vegas because he would always win if he did. I'll never meet anybody like him again. But Hugh, kind of joking with me, kind of not. He'd say, Greg, you're not a genius, but you know how to recognize one, and in today's world, that's a very rare person. So I would be able to see what he really was because he would hide it. He didn't want everybody to know his genius abilities. He kept that secret. He didn't want the government to use him because he knew nuclear secrets. He knew nuclear knowledge. He knew the science behind all that, and he could have, if he had turned out to be a bad person, he could have created and made horrific devices in many, many different ways that he told me that he has the knowledge and understanding and full capability. There's a lot of things like that if you're smart enough that you can make out of items that don't cost a lot of money. But he was that smart, and he could do it. He knew he had a patent in his head. Anyway, I don't know if he ever actually got the patent, but he'd always call it his patent in his head. But I think he was referring to the fact that a patent is when you know something or invent something that it really belongs to you. But I don't know that he ever actually filed a patent for it. But he would talk about how he could create an engine that would power your house and run forever. And not literally forever, but for a very long time. And Elon Musk was sending him, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. He would create hundreds of accounts and would just bombard Hugh daily. And he did this for months, trying to get Hugh to be his friend and to communicate with him. He tried to bait him with, oh, you want a bunch of money. And, all kinds of things. And so did a few other very famous people tried things like this. So this is the truth. It's the truth about 9/11. It's the truth about what America missed by not getting to know and understand and read Hugh Squier's story. But it's not too late. You can still read about it. So please do. Please get to know Hugh Squier's story. You go on Amazon and put Greg Bowe, Bowe, the original Hugh Squier, Squier. Hugh is Hugh. Hugh Squier, the original bottom line. That chalk drawing on the cover is him. He made that. And just like he had the same talents as his aunt Ava Gardner. Chalk drawings and so forth. And you'll remember that it was a gardener who had a chalk drawing of a little girl in an airplane and two towers that a guy named Cook took and gave to Alex Jones. And Alex Jones took that chalk drawing and tried to claim that this is the Illuminati planned 9/11. Well, the Illuminati didn't do it, but people at ASCAP with George Bush did. So this is the truth of your country. I'm not claiming to be smart or an intellectual or a genius, but Hugh did give me his story. He did give me the right to use his trademark on the cover of the book, bottom line. As far as I know, I'm the only person who is legally and ethically allowed to use that trademark to this day. So think about how amazing that is. So that's the truth behind Dolly Parton. And there's one other person I'm waiting for to die too before we tell her story.